As NASCAR leaves Homestead, Miami this year in March, the question remains, who will host the 2026 championship race? Let's break down all possibilities here on Dirty Air. Hello everybody, welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host Alex Lambert, and let's talk some about NASCAR's championship race. We just got done racing on Sunday at Homestead, Miami, the host of the championship race from 2002 to 2019. And then of course we switched to Phoenix Raceway, where the championship race has been held every year since. But there are some serious rumors and some serious concerns from those inside the NASCAR industry, some hints from Steve O'Donnell in the offseason that NASCAR's championship race, championship weekend, could return to Homestead, Miami once again and potentially start rotating to different venues between a few, maybe 2 or 3 different venues per season. Let's sort of analyze what we know so far, which isn't a lot. It is, we left Homestead, Miami on Sunday night, and it looks like it is a real possibility, more likely than not, that the championship race would switch from Phoenix to Miami in 2026. That certainly seems like the biggest possibility, the most likely scenario. There were even rumors that there were going to be drivers coming early or team members coming early to Miami to announce that was going to be the championship. There was some plans that they were going to try to announce this week that it was the championship race in 2026. Miami would be. Apparently some things fell through. That could be some small things that just haven't quite been figured out yet. But it looks like there's a strong possibility that Miami will return to the championship. We can look at that, right? I think that would be a great racetrack, a great facility. You want to go to a racetrack that sort of isn't too crazy. You don't want to go to Talladega, Daytona for a championship race. Maybe a short track would be acceptable. I don't think you want to go to a road course because that doesn't make up a majority of the NASCAR schedule. You want to go to a typical NASCAR racetrack, which is certainly a 1.5 mile intermediate style track, and Miami fits that perfect. It has great racing. Miami typically has pretty good weather in November. That's about when the championship race would be, either late October or the first week in November. So Miami would have pretty good weather, warm weather. There could be some storms, but warm weather nonetheless in Miami, most likely in November. There are a few other options to look at as well as far as those concerns go, but I think Miami would be a great venue to return the championship. It seems to be a talk that NASCAR moved this year's Miami race to March to give them plenty of time to potentially renovate the stadium, make the stadium more up-to-date to host a championship race. If you look at Phoenix is take the racetrack out of it, the on-track product that has not been, loved by fans recently. You take that completely out of the equation. The facility is apparently really nice, completely up to date. It was redone just a few years ago, redone less than a decade ago, along with Daytona. In the facility, from what I've heard, I haven't been able to visit it yet, but from what I've heard, that facility is an up-to-date sporting venue, and it's very nice, and it's a great place to host a championship weekend. They could potentially do that to Homestead, Miami. Hope they do. They make a lot of money off TV, probably some money off of ticket sales. They could put some of that money into these racetracks, into these venues that, from what I've heard, Homestead, Miami is currently outdated. Let's talk about another interesting topic while we're on the talk of the championship race. Next year it looks like it could go to Homestead, Miami. That is not confirmed, but that's the most likely scenario right now. Could stay in Phoenix, could go somewhere else. But it looks like there are also some rumors, and once again, this is a little more far-fetched, that when we look at 2027, the championship race could rotate. So we wouldn't return to Homestead, Miami or Phoenix. We would then go to Las Vegas. So another, warm area. It's still going to be fairly warm, good weather in Las Vegas, Nevada in November. We're not going to have to deal with any frigid temperatures or anything of that nature in Las Vegas, right, in November. So certainly that's another option. But that really raises the question, right? We once again, I said Steve O'Donnell just hinted at this in the offseason on some shows, on some podcasts, that they're looking at trying to rotate the championship race. So what could you have? Like a Phoenix one year, which is certainly going to have fantastic weather, a big racing city. We know that Phoenix has embraced NASCAR. You could then go to Las Vegas, once again in the desert. It's going to be nice weather in November, and then Miami, another 1.5 mile racetrack. I think that would be a fairly solid rotation. Those are all intermediate style racetracks with their own different unique qualities, but they do show the best teams and drivers throughout the entire season typically do well at those racetracks. You can take a look at the last few winners at those tracks. So certainly it's interesting. Certainly there's a lot you could look at. I think there's a few other racetracks you could look at as well. I mean, Charlotte. I think Kansas has been brought up some. Kansas is a little more of a weather concern, right? Because Kansas, I don't know. Sometimes Kansas can get some crazy, wacky weather when you get later into the year, like such as November. We'd have to hear from the fans on that because that would be an important topic to be discussed. But overall, I think it's extremely interesting to rotate this championship race. I think it would be a fantastic idea to take the championship race from a few different venues, potentially. My favorite scenario would be Phoenix. I think last year's Phoenix championship race was pretty good. I wouldn't mind seeing it rotate from Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Homestead, Miami every 3 years. If you do go to one racetrack, I would like to see Miami. I think Miami was a really nice championship venue. It just felt like a championship race in Miami. The palm trees in November, the racetrack, the mile and a half, the speed, the banking. It just felt like a championship event to me when I watched personally. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. That's all there is to really dissect about this. Not a whole lot of confirmed news yet about the Homestead Miami Speedway situation or the championship date for 2026 or beyond. We'll have to continue to monitor that moving forward. There could be changes to the championship format as well going into next year. Another thing we'll have to monitor going into 2026 along with the schedule. But that's it. All there is to talk about the championship race. I will be in Martinsville on Sunday. Fingers crossed that we don't get any rain or precipitation, that we do get good weather and get the race in without any issues, without any delays. But of course, tune in for Dirty Air following NASCAR Martinsville on Sunday. And of course, let's get rowdy.